I came into the government to run the Business Systems Modernization Program at the Internal Revenue Service. And at the time, it was noted as one of the most complex, largest modernization efforts undertaken. It had been undertaken multiple times, right? And so I was asked to come in to lead that program. And I guess a couple of learnings that I've had from that I would share. First, coming into the government after 20 years in the private sector, I really first had to work on my patience because, I like government service. I like public service very much. My second stint doing it. But frankly, things don't move as fast, right? And things are harder to get done. And there is more collaboration that needs to be done and the like. So I just had to back off a little bit, as I found out, to be effective. But once I did that, I found that the good thing about government is you can rally a lot of resources. If you can get everybody kind of pointed somewhat in the same direction, you can get an awful lot done. I would say the other big learning that I had was, particularly in the government, the real need to, if you're going to drive large modernization or large programs and be successful, the collaboration and the stakeholder engagement, bringing people along so that they're part of the process, right? There's so many ways that you can get tripped up in government where people, it's not even so much that they might even fight you, but if they don't support you, it makes it very hard to get things done. So this notion of being collaborative and bringing the stakeholders in and making them part of the governance process and the oversight of these programs and having ownership in this, in the success was a key learning for me that I've applied. Obviously, I've applied now to the Department of Homeland Security, where I currently work. I'm an engineer by training, and I think I've always said, science or engineering or mathematics degrees are a good thing for individuals, and I continue to say that to young people that are in college or looking at different types of careers. Obviously, the opportunities are tremendous, but also the rigor in your thinking process, right? So just the attention to detail, the workload that it takes, the study habits you learn can translate well, I think, into your career, especially early on. Early in my career, I did a lot of engineering work, and I got into actually building models. At that time, we were optimizing wide area networks, and I built algorithms in software, and found I liked that, and got into program management in the software arena, and ended up running a business unit in a commercial company for a while. So I think that all helped me prepare because I had done it, right? I know what it's like to actually build a system, right, and deploy a system from being on the ground as a worker, and I've done that quite a bit. So then as you build up through your career, I still feel like one of my strongest suits is program management. And I don't do it directly, but I'm in a lot of program management reviews, right? And I'm there to help and help programs that need help. And that's a big part of my role. It's always hard. Sometimes, I'll be honest, I come into a new job like being the CIO at the Department of Homeland Security, and believe me, I felt overwhelmed for a while, right? So first, it's not something that doesn't happen to a lot of people, right? Anytime you're in a new environment, tremendous amount of new things happening to you, trying to take it all in, trying to learn, give it some time, right? I can guarantee you within 3 to 6 months, you will learn so much about that environment and what works and what doesn't that you should take a deep breath and relax a little bit. But also take it as an opportunity. It's a golden opportunity to go around and talk to people, right? And say, hey, I'm new, I'm learning. Most people be more than willing to spend some time with you, to give you what they do, their impressions of what you should be doing, right? Build your network that way. There's lots of good things by getting out and about and learning your environment and getting to know the people that you're going to work with, both directly, but also those that perhaps are on the fringes as well. I think the best career advice I ever received was be persistent, right? And not in an obnoxious way, but if you know you're on the side of right, if you really believe with passion that an organization needs to do this, or it's going to be successful if it does that, stick to those guns, okay? And even if you get no, 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 right? If you keep working at that, I have found over time organizations will bend to that, right? And almost any level, right? And you don't have to be a manager to make that happen, right? You can have major influence as a entry-level worker. If you see something that you know is right that can really improve an organization or its ability to deliver or whatever it may be, and if you're persistent in that, I've seen amazing things happen with that kind of persistence and dedication. Now, you have to be on the side of right. You have to really believe that it is correct and show and be able to show others why that is, okay? So I think that's a really important thing. I would give one other piece of advice, if I could, in this answer, which is I've always tried to take the attitude that it's really about the organization, improving the organization. If you hold that attitude and have that approach, the recognition for you for good work will always be there, right? All right? You don't have to lead with trying to get the recognition for your good work. You lead with what's best for the organization, and the accolades would come, okay? And I really, particularly with younger people, I think that's a really important trait to start with. Obviously, you need to be a lifelong learner, of course, right? Especially in our field of information technology, or in my field of information technology. It's changing so rapidly, right? There's always new things to learn. You can't be an expert in it all, of course not, but you at least want to be cognizant of what's going on in the field, big muscle movements and the like, understand them, understand the dynamics of the industry. And you've got to study to do that, right? It's not going to just happen because you show up at work, right? And so I think that's an important, and there's plenty of resources. I mean, the information is readily available now. So I don't think that's so much an issue. As far as, I am big on, particularly for younger people, if you have a formal mentor program in your company or in your agency, definitely take advantage of it, right? Even if you don't have a formal mentor program, try to find a couple of individuals, not just one, because you're going to get different viewpoints from different individuals. But early in your career, try to find a couple of individuals that can provide you advice and try to build a relationship with them so that they can, behind the closed doors, be very, very straight with you, right? Both what's good, but more importantly, where you need to grow. And it's hard. It's hard for any of us to see our faults. I think, actually, I think as you get older, you tend to see them more, be able to acknowledge them more. But younger people, right? I think it's helpful for them. They can find a few mentors, right, that they can leverage, get advice, and build a relationship, a personal relationship with those individuals, so they can get that kind of feedback that they need. Because it's hard as a young person to correct those faults, where someone helping you do that can really provide very sound advice. At least that was good for me. It's not the path I took, right? I mean, I spent 20 years in the private sector and a couple stints here in government. I will probably go back to the private sector, and I may come back to government. So. But I have found, I mean, it's a pretty vibrant place. I mean, I know there's all the, quote, downsides and the bureaucracy and all that, but boy, it's I mean, when I think of the mission, like at DHS, right, and what we do, and the types of IT systems and programs we work on, it's pretty heady stuff, right, and pretty exciting. And I've always said to the younger people, it doesn't hurt you. If you have an interest in public service, it doesn't hurt you to come into the government, really kind of learn the ropes of how government works. And then if you want to go out, I mean, do 4 or 5 years in the government. If you love it, you probably stay. If you find, well, I want to try something else, you're a pretty valuable commodity to a lot of the contracting community that serves the federal government, right? So you've enhanced your value, right? And I don't think there's too much of a downside. Now, I will say this, depending on the kinds of work you want to do, it may not be as advantageous if you want to do a lot of R&D, unless you're going to an NIH or something like that. There's not many places in government you can go to do that kind of true R&D where there may be opportunities more in the commercial side. So it depends on what you want to do. But for a lot of the work that we do, or if you want to get into project and program management work, if you want to do analysis work, there's a lot of good opportunities in government. And having been on both sides, I get a lot of job satisfaction out of working in the federal government.